I'm Chris.
I'm Sandy.
And this is Parenting Autism. Here we go. Hello, everyone. Welcome to episode 149 of the Parenting Autism podcast. We hope you're doing well, and we're here for another batch of information unload to our audience. Thank you, our faithful listeners out there, and I'll turn it over to you, Sandy, my lady.
Thank you, Chris, my love. Yeah, so it's getting close to the end of the May. End of the May. That's the way I talk these days. Anyway, end of May. There's another week left, but we've done so much this month, and it's a long weekend. I said, let's hop in here and do the podcast before another week slips away. So that is what we're going to do. And I have my little highlights from the month, and basically we did a lot of traveling in the front end of the month. And then when we came home, Bryce got sick with a cold for a few days, which sent me over to my mom's house for a few nights so that I wouldn't get sick. And thankfully, you did not get sick. And Bryce recovered from that. And then he went to his pediatrician. We'll talk about that and the surprising news that we received there. Then we're going to talk about the new store that we launched on YouTube and Bryce's new interest in fishing. So, there it is.
I also want to mention that at www.parentingautismshow.com, we're in the process of refreshing the website. So if you go there now, there's kind of a new homepage, and you can access our YouTube channel from there. And we're also going to be working on the store there as well, and other website improvements where you're going to have more resources and things like that. But right now, our main focus, I think, is we got merch on our YouTube channel. That's at Parenting Autism Show. So if you're looking for it,
yeah, and
youtube.com.
Yes, and we've /
at Parenting Autism Show. Yes, go ahead.
I think if they do the @ symbol, Parenting Autism Show, they find us.
I'm not 100% up on all that stuff, but I'm sure Bryce is.
Yeah, I'm sure he is. So anyway, I apologize. I thought you were finished. I didn't mean to interrupt you.
It just kept coming out.
It did. But anyway, I think they'll find us. And we've mentioned on here that although we have a Facebook page and an Instagram page, I can only keep up with so many things, and we've kind of opted to do YouTube. That's been easier for us, and people seem to like that, and they seem to really enjoy having Bryce there. In fact, another thing this month was your birthday. Happy birthday to you.
Thank you very much.
And so Mom said she would take Bryce for a night so we could go away for your birthday for a night, which is a very rare treat. And so we went and stayed at a hotel that we hadn't been at before, feeling a little guilty not having Bryce there. So we said, hey, let's do an elevator tour for Bryce so that he can see what the room was like and all of that. And then there were people that missed Bryce because there's like, where's Bryce? Is he okay? And it's like, yeah, he's usually with us, but part of parenting autism is having a night away to help recharge our batteries, keep our connection fresh.
So we can be the best parents.
There you go. So anyway.
So we did have a lot of travels in May, and we've uploaded quite a bit of videos, so you can just see us in real life doing life together. We went to Ohio for a conference on Sandy's cancer, and that was very informative. And we stayed at a Hilton hotel there, and so we did a video on that.
So Bryce really loved that hotel. There were 27 floors with rooms, And then the 28th floor was a restaurant. And we tried to get up there for him, but he wasn't 21. So I guess because it was a bar, they wouldn't even let him come in at all to see anything. But honestly, we had a beautiful view from our room, which was just one floor lower. And we got to stay there for 3 nights. So he was super excited about that.
Yeah, and the YouTube fans are too. They really like that video.
Yeah, well, that was a great hotel also because for the first time, we had the experience of having a Tower 1 and a Tower 2 with a walkway that we had to walk across the road, above the road, I should say, to get to our tower that had the conference and our hotel room. But our vehicle was parked at Tower 1. So, it was definitely different than our typical hotel stay. Very fancy. Thankfully, we got the group rate for my conference, and we were able to really enjoy that.
Yeah.
And that was definitely a newer experience for Bryce. He remembers staying in the hotel in Philadelphia, and that was a high rise. But even this was different, and we could walk around a little bit. It was great. The weather was nice and cool, which we appreciated because it's become really hot here in South Florida. In fact, we were packing sweaters. It was like really cool weather, so that was nice.
Yeah, and I think what we're finding is that Bryce is starting to forget some of his earlier childhood adventures, if you will. Probably like age 5, 6 back.
Maybe. His memory will remember unique things that we would not expect him to remember. And then other things that we would expect him to remember have not made a lasting impression to be remembered.
Like, we went to the Air Force Museum, and that was a pretty big deal. Mm-hmm. But when we went back there this time, it was like almost like it was his first time there.
True. And that was, 4 years ago. Mm-hmm. And another surprising thing there is that when we went 4 years ago, he loved that simulator that spun around.
And he didn't even...
And this time he didn't even want to do it.
Yeah.
And we were like, oh, how many times are we going to let him do it? Because we know how much it costs.
We're trying to prep ourselves.
Yeah. And he's like, no, it's okay. Why don't you just save your money? I don't need to do it. And we're like, well, you can if you want. You said it makes you feel good. And he's like, no, I'm okay.
Yeah.
So that's another thing with Bryce is he's a little unpredictable in those departments. And what he may have really loved at one point, not so much the next time. And I'm sure he has his reasons. And but that's okay. But he did really love seeing all the planes. And I love that this time you guys worked together to make a plan in advance.
Mm-hmm, because it's so huge.
And it's very large. And, of course, I'm limited on my walking. So it was great. You guys went through, picked your 4 favorite areas that you knew you really wanted to see. I was able to find a bench, and it all worked out great.
Yeah, and for anybody interested, it's in Dayton, Ohio. It's the United States Air Force Museum. It's free to get in, and I don't know how many football fields it is, but it's a lot of football fields of aircraft inside hangars. So you're in the air condition, you're out of the weather. And like I said, it's free to get in, and it's definitely, you could spend a whole day there.
Well, when we went before, we actually spent a day and a half.
Yeah.
So.
And there's a hotel right across the street that's decent. So that's nice, but it's a really good thing to do if you're in the area.
Yeah. And this time we just needed a couple hours, which was great. So and you recorded a video of you and Bryce coming through.
The whole video is on our channel, YouTube channel.
Yep. And I would say also I noticed on this trip, Bryce did such an amazing job interacting with family and interacting with strangers.
Yeah.
Because we did see quite a bit of family on this trip. We stopped in Tennessee and Kentucky on the way up and saw a couple of my cousins. And then we went over to Indiana, and he met a lot of my, I have a lot of family, a lot of my aunts, uncles, cousins. We had all met to have lunch together. And it was funny because I just said, Bryce, are you ready to meet some family? And he was like, yeah, sure. And when I went over and I introduced him to the first one, he said, oh, hi, Harry, Uncle Harry. My name is Bryce. And he reached out his hand. He shook his hand. So I said, oh, okay. And this is my cousin Monty. And he's like, oh, hi, Monty. My name is Bryce. And then it was cute because we picked up on the pattern. And every time I introduced him to the next one, it was always he'd say hi to their name. And then he would say, my name is Bryce, and shake their hand.
That's good.
And it's great. I know that he gets practice with interactions at therapy. So I'm quite sure that's how that's gone in the past. But this time he practiced it in real life. And of course, everybody thought it was cute and got a kick out of it. And Bryce was just rolling with it and got to meet everybody. And that was great. Having conversations with people was great.
Yeah, like at the hotel front desk or at the gem mining. We did gem mining on the way back. He talked to the cashier there.
Yep.
And even at the hotel, we were getting snacks at the snack place. And he started talking to one of the cashiers there that was probably late teens, early 20s, I would say.
Oh,
and they had
yes.
something in common that they were talking about. What was it?
The K-pop.
The K-pop music.
Yeah.
And they were just going back and forth about it. And Bryce wanted to go down there with his iPad the next time and
so
play
he could
her
sing
the song.
Golden. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, he was singing it, wasn't
Yeah, he was singing Golden.
Yes, at the top of his lungs.
Yes.
So it was
With the crowd.
interesting.
And he's oblivious to it, but he was so excited. And
yes.
yeah, so
it was a great he had a lot of great interactions.
he really did. So I was very pleased with that. And, you know, we've talked recently on here about, you know, the struggles he's been having with interactions being too close, you know, getting up too close to people into their personal space or starting a conversation and they're completely lost. But I felt like this time he really made better connections from a safe distance and it was all good. And on one of the hotel tours, I was taking him around. This was the one in Ashland, Kentucky. And earlier in the day, I'd gone down to get him pancakes because you guys were still sleeping and the machine was broken. So when I told him that, you know, he's a little bummed, but I said, it's okay. We're going to leave. We can get you something when we're leaving. Well, we're finishing our tour and the door to the manager's office was open. So she waved to us and said hi because they're all so friendly in Kentucky. And so Bryce said hi back and we started leaving. I said, is there anything you want to ask her? I mean, her door's open. Because, you know, on these tours, I try to get him to not enter rooms that he's not allowed to enter into. But if the door was open and she waved, that's like an invitation to say hi or ask a question. So he went back. He goes, yes, I do. So he went back and then he's like, why is your pancake machine broken? And she went, oh, well, we got it fixed now. And he's like, oh, well, what was wrong with it? And then she said, well, it was making pancakes that were like hard black pancakes or something. And so then she said, would you like me to make you some? So I said to Bryce, would you still like some? And he's like, yes. So she went back, opened the kitchen, and then she gave him a full demo as to how they prepare the batter and put it into the machine and set it up. And he thought it was the coolest thing because normally hotels set it for 2 medium size, I would say, pancakes. And here it gave out 10 mini, like MINI, little small pancakes, bite size. So he didn't even have to cut them.
Oh, okay.
But he thought that was the coolest thing.
Yeah.
And I got the whole thing on the video. I mean, it was really, really neat and a great learning opportunity for him. And all because he had an interaction and he asked a question. Yeah. He's learning that if you have the conversations, then things can happen like that.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, like, just today we went to the fish market I wanted to get some smoked salmon and some shrimp. And so we went down to the other end of the case so he could see the fish because he's really interested in fishing now. And he knows the different types of fish thanks to Animal Crossing on his Switch.
Yeah.
So we go down to the end of the case and he's like, oh, wow, that looks like red snapper. And then there was another bigger fish that we didn't know what it was. So we asked the guy and he said that was a black drum. And Bryce was like, oh, okay. And then he asked all by himself, he's like, well, where's the best fishing spot around here?
I love that.
Yeah, so he's really catching on and learning how to have those conversations.
Yeah, so those were big wins. The school bus in Tennessee, that was really special too.
Yeah, so we came out of the visitor center, and there was a bus parked in the parking lot, and I told him, I'm like, look, Bryce. What?
Go ahead. I was going to precede this, though.
Yeah.
Bryce is really, really into school buses right now. And on this trip, I can't tell you how many times we were trying to follow school buses so that he could get pictures from his iPad. And
if it was easy.
If it was easy. So, like, when we were in my hometown, we saw a bus, and we ended up, like, following it all the way to the high school. I mean, it was like an adventure for him, right? Yeah. He even had my aunt looking for school buses. I mean, it was like a big deal, right?
Fun, yeah.
So having said that, we get to this rest stop, and then there's a school bus in the parking lot, and I'm like, oh my goodness, there's a school bus.
So he gets out with his iPad, and he runs over to the corner of the building, like Mission Impossible.
Yeah, like he was didn't want to be seen.
He's hiding behind the corner of the building, and then he's like sticking his iPad out from behind the corner to take a picture, and then jumping back behind the corner. I'm like,
we were laughing. We're like, what is he doing? I guess he thinks
he's a couple of times.
He was nervous.
Yeah, so I started walking over to him. I'm like, Bryce, you don't need to hide. So then he goes over to the bus where the driver sits, that window, and he's jumping up and down with his iPad. So he jumps up in the air, and he tries to take a picture while he's in the air of the inside of the bus. So he's doing that like 10 times. And it was, I should have recorded that.
That's a sight in itself.
I might have recorded that. I don't know. That might have been part of it. So anyway, a short time later, the bus driver comes walking down the sidewalk, and he's kind of smiling. And I said, Bryce, I think this is the bus driver. And so Bryce runs over to the bus driver, and I forget what he asked him, but I told him, I said, you know, my son, he's really interested in buses, and he loves your bus. And he's like, oh, well, come on over. Would you like to go inside? Oh, and Bryce, that you would have thought he was in heaven, because the guy opened the door, and he's like, oh, yeah, go ahead on there. And Bryce went on there with his iPad, and he's taking pictures of all the speedometer and the steering wheel and everything on the dashboard. He did a video
for YouTube.
Yeah, he did a video. Yeah. So, and then he did a walk around the bus. And so the bus driver was so nice, and he used to be a special ed bus driver, or he is a special ed bus driver, but his regular bus was in the shop. So he had this big bus that he was driving. So Bryce was just totally.
He is still talking about that.
Is he?
That one's made a very lasting impression on him.
So Sandy had this idea. She called our local school bus depot. I don't even know how you got the number.
Research, baby.
And then she found the manager there and said, hey, you know, my son loves buses. Is there any way that we could come out and look at one? And so she said, sure. And you have an appointment this Wednesday to go to the bus depot for this public school system. And this manager person is going to show him a bus. And we're taking his friend Michael. So
Michael's going to be able to join us. So they are both super excited, because they are both very into the school bus driving.
So, you know, I encourage all the parents out there that if this is how you get those experiences for your children. You know, don't be shy. Reach out to whoever is in charge, and 9 times out of 10, they're more than happy to show you around or let you in and you know, let you do a tour.
I told her it's going to be like a field trip for him.
Yeah,
you know, in something that he's very interested in.
Yep.
Yeah, so you mentioned the fishing, too.
Yeah.
So earlier this week, we were invited to a cookout dinner.
A pool party.
A pool party with our Special Olympics equine family. And so Bryce had fun in the pool, and then their house was on a lake. And so there was some fishing going on. And one of the little girls there had caught a fish. So she ran up.
A big one.
Actually, it was a good sized fish. And so Bryce saw that. And of course, that caught his interest. So then we were like, well, do you want to go watch them fish? Which he did. And then, the guy there was so nice. And he's like, I can show you how to do it. And so he gave Bryce like a first fishing lesson where he got to cast it and reel it back in. And he did it for, a good 30 minutes, I'd say. And he didn't catch anything, but he didn't get totally frustrated with that. And he told us more than one time that was very peaceful for him and how much he loved it. And he does do a lot of fishing, as you mentioned, on Animal Crossing. So he knows the fish. In fact, when the little girl came up, he goes, I hate to tell you this, but that is a sea bass, and that's not worth many bells.
And the little girl didn't care.
She did not know what that meant and didn't care. But for Bryce, he didn't want to break the news to her. Like she didn't get a bell-worthy fish. But anyway, it's cute. And he took such an interest that the next morning, he's like, I want to go get my own rod
Fishing
and reel.
rod, yeah.
So we have got that purchased, and you two have gone now.
Gone a couple of
yesterday,
times.
and you went again today, and.
So he has a real aversion to grass.
Yes.
But he seemed to have overcome that a little bit.
How did that go with the grass?
Yeah. Interested he is with the fishing, So, but the big deal yesterday in the evening was the bugs. So there must have been no-see-ums or something that was
he did get several bites.
him, but he didn't like that, and he didn't like our lure getting stuck in the grass. So, like, a couple of times he casted, one went into the weeds, and then the other one went on the ground next to us. So, he was kind of turned off with that spot because of the bugs.
Is that the one near the house? Mm-hmm. Did he, I'm just curious, did he cast overhead or to the side?
Well, he started to try to cast from the side, but I told him to do it overhead.
I was going to say, we got to nip that. Okay.
So,
very good.
Then today we tried another spot somewhere else in our community, and it was also grassy, but this time it was more like a beach, but the beach had ants.
Oh, no.
So he was distracted by the ants, and he's like, oh, these pesky ants. And
yeah, he does
here
not
in Florida,
like
we
ants.
have fire ants, and they could have been fire ants, but he was very worried about that. And then we found a spot to cast from, so he kind of got away from that, and we casted. It got caught in the grass again, so he's like, we have to find another place that doesn't have grass. And so we came home. And we're going to try to find a place that doesn't have grass.
Okay. I had not received that update, but it is a fact. Bryce does not like touching grass. So.
Well, I mean,
But
it wasn't on his feet. It was because our lure kept getting stuck in it.
Okay.
So.
Well, I didn't know if, you were sitting in the grass. Were you
we're
standing the whole time?
Yeah, standing.
Yeah, because he's okay in grass if he's got his socks and shoes on.
Yeah.
Bare feet, no way.
Yeah.
He's out on that. Okay.
So,
interesting.
anyway, he hasn't caught his first fish yet, but we're working on it.
Yeah, we're excited for him in advance because we know it's going to happen. So I think the only other thing we haven't talked about would be the pediatrician visit and what came with that. Mm-hmm. So.
Yeah, so the pediatrician, as part of his annual checkup, he said, bend over and touch your toes. And he did. And he's like, oh, it looks like we have some scoliosis going on here. And he's like, you see the hump on this side of his back? And I was like, yeah. And you couldn't tell by looking at him that he had anything wrong with his spine. But he's like, well, we're going to have to get an x-ray of this and see, how bad it is. But he says, I think it's going to be moderate. So we went, got the x-ray done, and then speaking of Bryce, striking up conversations,
Mm-hmm.
he was talking to the x-ray technician, and the x-ray technician was like, oh, come over here, I'll show you how this machine works and stuff.
Oh, great.
Which I didn't get on video, but it happened so fast. But the picture of his x-ray was on the screen, and I'm like, I can't believe that is Bryce, because his back looked like so curvy. And so we made an appointment with an orthopedic doctor, and the doctor said, well, he has a lot of growth left to do. We have to keep an eye on this. I'll see you in 4 months, and if it gets past a certain point, we're going to have to put him in a brace.
He has 2 spots.
2 curves.
2 curves.
Top and bottom.
And one going
left,
opposite
one going
directions.
right. Yep.
Yeah, it's a little bizarre.
So double curve. And then he said he didn't think that he would need surgery, right?
He said that, right, correct.
Not
because he
likely.
said we're not going to let it get to that point.
Okay, so
So that's
worst
the good
case
news.
scenario is he grows more, the curve gets worse, he goes into a brace that he has to wear at night, and then
I expect that
go
to
from
happen.
there. Yeah, he said that's likely.
That's very likely, because he said looking at Bryce, he can already tell he's probably going to pass you and be taller than 6 feet.
So
because
he
of
thinks
his
that he's
build.
probably had this condition for a couple of years. It's just now that we're catching it. So if, something that you can do at home, have your child touch their toes without bending their knees, or bend over as far as they can, and look for a hump on one side of their back, like on the rib cage. And if one side of their back is higher than the other, then you should probably get that checked out.
Yeah, because if it's not checked out and the what ifs, well, what if this were to get worse was my question. Would it affect his lungs and his breathing? He said, yeah, definitely that's what would happen.
If it was severe, yeah.
And he could also be in, pain. Thankfully, he's not having any pain at all. And we would not have known had he not had that exam.
He can resume regular activities. He can do
Yes.
any sports right now. So
Yep.
we're just letting him do his thing.
And the good news is that Bryce doesn't have to get the brace at this time. So this gives him a chance to mentally prepare, but he doesn't seem fazed by it really at all, which is great. And it's kind of funny because he saw the picture of his x-ray, and so he sees it like a skeleton.
Oh, yeah. He's like, there's my skeleton.
He goes, I'm going to bring this picture out at Halloween and scare Michael with my skeleton. That's what Bryce got out of it.
Yeah, it was pretty funny. He doesn't really seem to care about
Nope,
the
he seems fine with
scoliosis,
it.
which is great.
So that is really good.
If he's oblivious, that's perfect.
Yes, exactly.
All right. Well, thanks for listening to our regular listeners. And, you know how to get in touch with us, parentingautism@att.net. If you want to shoot us a email, Sandy does eventually get back to everybody.
I do eventually.
Yep. And be sure to check out our YouTube. It's really taken off. We have a lot of subscribers now, and people are finding it interesting. So until next time.
All right. Have a great day. And thanks again for chiming in.
Bye.
Bye.
Did they chime in?
I meant tuning in. Bye.
Bye.